Hello, Patties and Slow Hoppers. This is your favorite executive director, Kristen, coming to you with an audio video recording of the slides from Chris Bursback, our head route setters clinic that he gave last year with some route setters. And instead of doing another clinic in live in person, I thought I'd do a video one so we could share it, so that those of you who are nervous about your first competition or not sure if you want to do it have a good idea about what to expect coming up, and hopefully you're encouraged to come try it, whether you're really awesome or really terrible at climbing. Okay, so first thing we're going to talk about is the competition styles and structure. There's 3 different types that we'll be talking about: red point competition, on-site competition, and then how the pad and slow op CCS comp that's coming up is going to work. So red pointing. First thing you want to know is, if you're not familiar with the climbing term, what red pointing means is you're watching somebody else do it, or you might do it yourself. You're going to get on a climb, you're going to fall off of it, you're going to figure out how to get back on it, and eventually you'll send it, but it probably won't be start to finish, if that makes sense. Totally proud to do it. Most of our really advanced routes outside and in the gym don't get done in any other way than red pointing, so don't stress it, but now you've learned a new term if you didn't know what that was called. So in red point competitions, there's lots of routes covering a range of difficulty, and there's a point value for each route that's based on that difficulty. And say you try a route and then you fall off of it and you just never get it, there's no points for attempting it. Points are gained only if the route's completed. And you can attempt the same route as many times as you want, so again, you're learning how to do the problem as you compete. And you can usually choose from among all of the routes available, but you're going to want to try as many as you like, and you're also going to want to watch other people's attempts at it, because people can try new things and give you a better idea about how to break the problem into parts that you can do. Event organizers can place a judge at each climb, or they'll allow the competitors to verify each other's scorecards. That's the honor system. That's the slow up pad way, and we hope to continue that for as long as we can. And your final score is usually the total of your 3, 5, 10 best scoring climbs. We've kind of found it as best practice to do 5. It kind of encourages you to give a lot of routes tries, but it doesn't burn you out too badly. We found with 10 climbs, you can kind of burn yourself out and not even be able to fill out your scorecard because you're super psyched. Okay, so let's move on to on-site competition. On-site, there's generally few routes at very specific difficulties, so you know you're going to be doing, I don't know, a V10, a V7, etc. Climbers are not permitted to watch each other's attempts, and that's why it's called on-site, is that you literally walk up and you climb it on-site. Competitors are going to climb one at a time, and that's specifically because you don't want to have anybody else watching you. Each climber gets a time period, like 5 minutes, to attempt the first route, and then they'll rest while the other competitors attempt the same route. And then they'll rotate it through again on the next route, and so on until the climbers attempted all routes. The score is based on how far you progress on each route. So higher holds being worth more points than lower holds, and your score for each route is based on the highest hold controlled as. And when I say controlled, what I mean by that is when you hit the hold, you have to actually stop yourself and stay on it versus just touching it. This is what's used at national and World Cup difficulty climbing events. So what's the slow up and the pad? Our comp is primarily a red point comp. You're going to see scores that are the total points from the hardest 5 routes completed, with 10 points subtracted from your score for each fall. The scores are usually many 10,000 points, so the falls are only 10 points, and what that is it sort of just helps with tie breaking and ranking you guys if you're really coming in tight. There's also going to be a separate on-site comp at the end of the day that we call finals, that has the top 3 overall male and female finishers. So because this is a CCS and an open citizens comp, that means that we're simultaneously running 2 competitions together. There's the collegiate competition, which is CCS, and then there's the citizens, who can be whoever they want to be. And we're going to once the competitions are done and we know who the top 3 overall are, we're going to blend them together. So you could have a collegiate competitor with an open citizens competitor. There's rules you can find on our website, and the link will be in the notes. Okay, let's move on. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so the Citizens Comp, this is one of 2. There's going to be some categories. Beginner is V0 to V2, and even if you're not sending V2, I highly suggest that you sign up for this, because one of the things that's the coolest part about climbing comps is that you don't really know what they're rated. You just see the numbers, and you have no idea, your mind doesn't process, oh, I can do this or I can't do this. And so you generally climb harder than you ever will, and there's going to be all these people surrounding you being like, you got this, you got this. So even if you're not touching the V2 stuff, please give it a try, because I have a feeling you'll do much better than you're expecting. Then we've got intermediate, V3 to V4, so that's probably those of you either just getting into climbing but pretty committed to it at this point. And then advanced, V5, V6. Open is V7 plus. We don't get a lot of open competitors right now. Eventually that will bump up when we get big and fancy. Then we also have the youth category, so under 14, and we don't lump girls and boys separately because kids just pull down. The other categories, which aren't noted in this part on this slide, is that they're separated by male and female because men tend to climb harder. Not totally sure why. Mental, I don't know. Women are really good climbers. But anyway, so that's the categories. Competitors that outperform their category can be bumped into the next category at the discretion of the scorer, which is usually me. Basically what happens here is if you have 2 or more climbs that are way above what your ranking is that you signed up for, then we'll bump you. So just be aware. Basically the idea is we don't want you to make it unfair for other people. So at the Citizens Comp, each competitor is given a score sheet with all the climbs numbered, and each climb has a point value shown on the score sheet corresponding to the difficulty. It's not V grades, like I said. So you're going to know that the climb that you're climbing on is 2,200 points versus the 12,000.1, and that's how you kind of know how the difficulty is running. When you complete a route, you're going to have 2 witnesses initial the climb on your score sheet. Mark the number of falls that you took while attempting the route. You're going to complete a route means that you started from the marked opening holds, just like you see at the gym every day, and you're going to climb the route without touching the ground or using any off-route holds, and controlling the finish with both hands. And again, remember, controlling means you actually are holding it. You're not touching it and falling off. And the finish can be the top of the wall or a finish box, and a finish box is like a square tape thing. Or for climbs that finish over the arch area, that could be topping out. All right. So finals. Again, the CCS comp is run similarly, but they don't have the categories. They just have who gets the top scores. And they also don't get the cool prizes that we get to offer for the citizens because they want it to be non-competitive in that way. Anyway, so when we are done with the whole comp and we do the scoring, and it usually takes a bit to do that, and we have a lot of parties and fun stuff to do in the meantime, then we select the finals competitors, and this is a mini on-site format. The top 3 overall male and female finishers from both competitions, so that means they could be like both 2 collegiate and then 1 citizen, or vice versa, or none, or whatever. And they're usually V plus for the climbers for the men and V5 climbers for the women. So ladies, gentlemen, if you're listening to this and you're like, I climbed that level, you might want to reserve some energy for your climbing after the finals. It can be really stressful. People are watching you and cheering you, and it's awesome, but when your hands are burnt out, you're just not going to climb as strong as you used to, so kind of prepare for that. The finals competitors are sequestered while the 4 finals climbs, 2 for men and 2 for women, are put up by the setter. So they aren't even on the wall. So they're going to be sitting off in another area. They can't see anything, and the setters are going to rebuild it based off of pictures. It's pretty cool. Climbers are going to come out in order from least points to most points. So 1 male and 1 female will climb at the same time. So, we'll have half the gym staring at one thing and half the gym staring at the other. It's a really cool way to highlight people's performance. And they're going to get 5 minutes to attempt each route. So again, they can climb as much as they want to, and it's just they get points for how far along they get into it. The score is going to be based on combined progress on both the finals routes for your sex. Okay, so let's talk about strategy because this is important. The general red point comp strategy, and then tips for the first-time competitor. All right, so if you've completed it before, this is where you want to pay attention. If you haven't, hang tight toward the end because I promise you it'll be worth it. The basic strategy is you want to conserve energy and maximize points energy output. So when you get to the comp, you'll be like super psyched and want to jump on everything. And I'll tell you that the majority of competitors turn in incomplete scorecards because they burn out. And again, I told you, we used to do, well, we didn't, but there's other competitions that do 10 top points. And that can be really hard because you're spending all this time really psyched on a problem and just burning yourself out. So, plan accordingly. You might want to do some warm-ups, make sure you get some points on there. And you do want to turn it in too. If you didn't do that well, who cares? At least turn it in. Show us that you did it, So after warming up, and you should definitely warm up because warming up helps you not be injured, and we'll talk about that in a second. You're ready to peak at the hardest routes you're able to within 1 or 2 attempts. If you do more than that, you're done, okay? So do not try something that's going to make you work all day. You can do that after the comp. And besides, there's a lot of people probably waiting to get on that route with you. The most important skill for performing well is being able to identify the most difficult climbs you're capable of finishing in 1 or 2 tries. If you can't complete them in those attempts, then you can continue to try, but remember, you don't get any points for failed attempt, and that costs you energy. And the best strategy is to attempt to climb no more than twice until you complete your card. That's 5 climbs, and then you can go back to the more difficult climbs and improve your score, because, right, once you get the ones you think you can get, no one says you can't work a problem until we yell for your cards. So do it. Okay. So first time comp people, pay attention. This is really important, and I really know what I'm talking about, because if you ever see me climbing, I'm not very strong, and it's because I keep getting injured and stuff, but I have the best time when I do get to compete. And so the things I'm about to tell you here is not only how you're going to do well for your first comp and make yourself feel great, but also be proud that you did this in the first place and hopefully feel encouraged. So you're going to want to warm up slowly. And when I say warm up, don't just jump on the climbs. Like, really make sure that you're doing some stuff, like limber up your joints a bit and, like get everything warm. A lot of people show up to this comp not in the best mindset yet, and the reason that people get injured is because the psych is high, but they're not paying attention to their bodies. So take care of yourself when you start, and take care of yourself while you're climbing. Okay, so how do you know what you want to be doing? So the first thing you're going to do is test the easiest routes. No shame in doing the easiest route on the wall just to warm up. Nobody cares, and even if you're like a V7 climber, it's a great way to see how things are going and what our setting is like. You're also going to have a chance to let the other climbers throw themselves at harder climbs right away. So all those people that are super psyched and are going to burn themselves out, they get out of your way soon. You can watch them try, and you'll find out how hard those routes are and what the best beta is. And if you don't know what beta means, that basically means like best tips, okay? So just see how people move, especially if you happen to identify somebody who's sort of built like you and has the same style of movement that you do. They probably have ways to unlock stuff. Okay, first thing you're gonna do is focus on getting those 5 routes near your limit on the scorecard. So your goal is to finish these routes with the first try with minimum effort spent. So if you don't think you can do it on your first try, don't hit it yet, okay? And if you fall more than twice on a route, just move on. Don't be upset about it. This is not about the same kind of climbing that you do in the gym normally day to day, where you just kind of try to do it and achieve yourself. This is a whole different ballgame. And you're going to want to take your time and make sure you rest between every route and attempt so you don't fail due to fatigue. And if you start to feel the pump, you're going too fast. Like, take some time, massage, make sure you're well hydrated. There's some really great energy drinks out there that I actually highly recommend, especially the Fluid Performance. You can find that at like bike shops and stuff. So anyway, remember to take it slow, and that'll keep you relaxed throughout the day. You have 4 hours to do 5 problems, guys. It's not rocket science here. Okay. So when you have 5 solid routes on your scorecard, now you're going to take a really long rest, and you'll see people start to really chill around like noon. The lunch truck will probably show up by then, and you guys can have drinks, food, do whatever you want to. Take care of yourself, have something to eat, but don't like overstuff, because we all know what that feels like. And then look for 1 or 2 harder routes that you might have the energy to work on. The gym will be a lot more sparse at that point because people will be burnt out. But you're here to win, right? So pick some routes that are going to be near or just below your red point limit. And so what I mean by that is you're going to work it. You're going to be allowed to do what you want to do, but like make sure you're not totally burnt out, especially those of you who think you might make it to finals. Remember, you still need energy. And they should be in a style that you're solid at. So maybe you're really good at pinching, or maybe you're really good at slab, or maybe you're really good at like big, powerful, juggy moves. Make sure you're doing something that you're good at, because again, this is not the time to learn something new. You can do that in the gym later. And now by now you should have plenty of beta from watching other people. So there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to on-site it if you know what you're doing and you know where your limit is. And then you're going to want to try to finish at least one of these routes to incrementally increase your score, because right, you've got your top 5. Now you're going to try one of these goal routes, and that'll push you right up there. And that's how we win the comp. Other things that I would tell you about it is just like, if you're feeling like you're a little bit stressed out about it because it's competition, just go. You can always come and watch and then change your mind and then come in and say you want a scorecard. But again, do not sign your scorecard in. You want to turn it in. It's awesome. And also remember, there's a little spot on there for favorite route. So while you're climbing, make sure you mark down your favorite route, because we like to reward our route setters for the hard work that they've put in over the past couple days. Some of them take off work. Some of them come up especially from other areas because they're old sloppers that are just psyched on helping us out. And so giving them a little reward and a little bump saying, hey, I liked your route, super important. Anyway, hope to see you at the next comp. Talk to you soon. Take care.